So hi everyone, hope you're doing okay today, or doing well today, and keeping yourself nice and healthy mentally and physically. Dealing with our imperfections well, working our way towards perfection. So let's do the chanting straight away, followed by the meditations, and then the Dharma Talk. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Buddham saranam gacchami, Dhammam saranam gacchami, Sangham saranam gacchami, Dutiyampi Buddham saranam gacchami, Dutiyampi Dhammam saranam gacchami, Dutiyampi Sangham saranam gacchami, Dutiyampi Buddham saranam gacchami, Dutiyampi Dhammam saranam gacchami, Dutiyampi Sangham saranam gacchami. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing the 6 paramitas, may I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing the 6 paramitas, may I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing the 6 paramitas, may I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. May all sentient beings have happiness and its causes. May they be free from suffering and its causes. May they never be parted from their happiness beyond suffering. May they abide in equanimity, free of bias, attachment to the near, and aversion from the far. I shall cause this. Great compassionate Buddha, please inspire me to be able to do so. Reverently, I prostrate with my body, speech, and mind, and present clouds of every types of offerings, actual and mentally transformed. I confess all of my negative actions accumulated since beginningless time, and rejoice in all the virtues of all holy and ordinary beings. Please remain until cyclic existence ends, and turn the wheel of Dharma for all sentient beings. I dedicate the virtues of myself and others to the great enlightenment. However innumerable all sentient beings are, I vow to save them all. However inexhaustible my delusions are, I vow to extinguish them all. However immeasurable the Dharma teachings are, I vow to master them all. However endless the Buddha's way is, I vow to follow it completely. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme. Hayata Gati Gati Parasamgati Bodhi Soha. Tayata Gati Gati Parasamgati Bodhi Soha. Tayata Gati Parasamgati Bodhi Soha. So now we can do some meditation, initially to release any stress that we may have in the body. So gently close your eyes, bring your mind inside your body, And from the tips of the toes up to your shoulders, down to the tips of your fingers, and back up to the top of your head. Release whatever tension you can. So let's take a few moments to do this now. And scan your body once more just to see if there's any leftover tension that you can release. And now bring your mind initially to the tip of your nose and follow the feeling of the breath as you breathe in your nose all the way into your lungs and then back out your nose again. Try to keep your mind seamlessly on the feeling of the breath as you breathe in and out. You can also add the extra technique of counting the breaths. One in-breath and one out-breath is one, and so on and so forth. But don't count past 10. And if you get distracted on the way counting to 10, then go back to 1 at that time. So if thoughts arise or any mental activity arises, don't cling to it. Don't grasp at it. Also, don't try to force it away or deny it even. But simply let it go naturally, easily, by replacing the mind back onto the breath. No stress. And if your mind starts to become dull or sleepy, then wake it up a little bit by refocusing on your breath more brightly. So let's practice like this in silence for a little bit. So now you can feel very pleased with yourself for engaging in this practice and fill yourself with universal loving kindness and friendship. And now we will engage in the practice of Tonglen, giving, taking meditation to develop the bodhicitta intention, great compassion. So first of all, bring to mind the suffering of all living beings, many different types and levels of suffering, mental and physical. And bring together or bring to mind the bodhicitta intention, even though we don't have it perfectly yet. Really have the wish that these living beings are free from suffering, free from the causes of suffering, that they have happiness and the causes of happiness. So now visualize one person, or a few at most, in front of you, loved ones, friends, family. And first of all, we will take their suffering away from them, free them from their suffering, with a visualization of the black smoke coming from their heart center and entering into your heart center to destroy your ego and self-centeredness. So now do this. Take away all of their sufferings, and even imagine that whatever sufferings they may be experiencing, it may be some health issues or simply aging, things like that, then you're taking this away from them, freeing them from it. And now give them all of your merits, good karma, all of your good conditions, your happiness, and everything that makes you feel pleased, give to them in the form of white smoke from white light from your heart center, entering into their heart center. Really see them as being very contented, very happy, very wise. And now you can add a stranger, or at most a few strangers in front of you. And from all of these, from these people now, your loved ones and the strangers, comes the black smoke from their heart center and enters into your heart center, freeing them from the suffering, destroying your self-centeredness. And now you can give them the white light representing all of your goodness and merits and happiness from your heart center to their heart center. And really imagine that they are happy. Now add to this group an enemy or enemies, those people that you may dislike for whatever reason, find very frustrating, irritating. And you take from all of these people in front of you now the black smoke from their heart center, representing freeing them from suffering, the causes of suffering, and the black smoke going into your heart center, melting into your heart center to destroy your self-centeredness. And now give them the white light, representing your happiness, everything good about you. White light from your heart center enters into their heart centers. And now, due to the time constraints, We will finish up, keep these sessions brief, but in your own time, if you choose to practice this type of meditation, then obviously do it for longer periods. Now visualize the best you can innumerable living beings in front of you. Those living beings that live in the waters, on the land, fly in the air, all sorts of forms, shapes, sizes, as well as beings from different realms. Do the best you can to have as many as possible, different types. Those animals, for instance, that you may find very nice, as well as those you don't think about, and those maybe you have some fear for them. Now take from all of these living beings the black smoke coming from their heart centers and entering into your heart center, melting into your heart center, freeing them from the sufferings and destroying your ego. And now we'll switch, and you offer the white light now, representing all of your goodness, all of your merits, good conditions, and everything you find pleasing, including mental things, mental opinions, teachings, whatever, as well as everything physical that you find pleasing. So you give this from your heart center in the form of white light, and now the white light enters into the heart centers of all the living beings, making them very happy, contented, at peace. And now you can cease the active part of the visualization, and just for half a minute, just sit there in this feeling of great compassion for all living beings. And now let's do the dedication prayer. Due to this merit, may I soon attain the enlightened state of the Buddha, so that I may be able to liberate all sentient beings from their suffering. May the precious bodhicitta, not yet born, arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. And may the precious view of shunyata, not yet born, arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. And that's a good reminder. Always take refuge, in whatever you're doing, especially if you find that you're having some difficulties and even, giving in to some negative emotions. Just take refuge in the Buddha, the great teacher, the great doctor. And then in all of the Buddhas and in your own Buddha nature. Also take refuge in the Dharma, the Buddha's teachings, the teachings of all the Buddhas, and the truth. And take refuge in the Sangha, the supportive community of practitioners, as well as your teachers, bodhisattvas. And understand that all living beings have the potential to be enlightened. Okay, so like I said before, bring to mind the bodhicitta intention as you listen to these teachings. As you know, we've gone past the first 7 of them for the overviews, and today we will finish up the overviews with verse number 8, as well as generate the bodhicitta intention. I will recite the prayer, the traditional prayer, and then you can, line by line, and then you can repeat it by yourself, okay? And that'll do. I'll actually do the first 7 of the prayers now that we've already covered. With the wish to attain enlightenment for the welfare of all sentient beings who are more precious than a wish-fulfilling jewel, I will constantly practice holding them dear. Whenever I'm with others, I will practice seeing myself as the lowest of all, and for the very depth of my heart, I will respectfully hold others as supreme. In all actions, I will examine my mind, and the moment a disturbing attitude arises, endangering myself and others, I will firmly confront and avert it. Whenever I meet a person of bad nature who is overwhelmed by negative energy and intense suffering, I will hold such a rare one dear as if I have found a precious treasure. When others out of jealousy mistreat me with slander, abuse, and so on, I will practice accepting their defeat and offering the victory to them. When someone I have benefited and whom I place great trust hurts me very badly, I will practice seeing that person as my supreme teacher. In short, I will offer directly and indirectly every benefit and happiness to all beings, my mothers, and in secret I will take upon myself all their harmful actions and their bad karma and negative intentions and all this. Okay, so that's the first 7 verses, basically. In fact, that one, in secret, I will take upon myself all their harmful actions and sufferings. Okay, so the last verse reads like this: without these practices being defiled by the stains of the 8 worldly concerns, by perceiving all phenomena as illusory, I will practice without grasping to release all beings from the bondage of the disturbing mind and karma, or the unsubdued mind and karma. And so just reiterating what I mentioned last week, so up to the point where we were at last week, the overview completed of verse 7, the verses have dealt with and related to the practice of relative bodhicitta, or you could say conventional bodhicitta, of which there are 2 types. There's the aspirational, so mental inside, and then there's the practical, both from a mental point of view, putting it into practice, as well as physical and words as well. Okay. So we should give up the thoughts, as mentioned last week, for gaining something. Don't practice Dharma to try to get something. Yes, we can have the good intention, of course, of I want to attain enlightenment, but eventually even that you have to give up, because that'll block the way for you to actually achieve your goal. So try your best not to do this. I'm going to practice this compassion, and then I'll be a really good practitioner, and others can bow down to me or something like that. And also to gain something, I want to have fame and all this stuff, but also to have things, maybe physical things that you're after. Maybe you want to practice. You think that doing this type of practice actually will give you the nice conditions so that you can buy a car or get some sort of lifestyle change or something like that. Do not have that intention, okay? Give up these types of intentions. And eventually, actually, the conditions will improve. The more you give up expectation, the more you achieve things in a good way. So what does it say here? So give up any thoughts of gaining something for oneself, even like better health. This is practicing for yourself only and is worldly. It's not real compassion. Or even like I said before, the thought of practicing so people can respect you. This is ego, this is self-centeredness. Maybe they regard you as really good person or great practitioner. Don't have those intentions. Okay. So your practice of these techniques should be free from being influenced by any worldly or selfish motives. Now, I'm just reiterating from last week. So the verse 6 in my little point forms, in fact, it's quite small, the writing here. So the 6 paramitas, I'll give you an example, okay? The first 5 of the paramitas are kind of like the first 7 verses of this practice, okay? They are related to developing the relative bodhicitta. And now this 8th verse, just like the 6th paramita, the perfection of wisdom, is to realize, along with perfecting the others together and unifying, is actually now the ultimate bodhicitta and the mind of enlightenment, okay? So the practice of ultimate bodhicitta, there's many antidotes to these 8 worldly concerns, which I'll mention in a moment, on many levels. Okay, we can't go into them because this is an overview right now. We'll do that when I get into all the details of each verse. And so it'll be the last bit. When I'm up to that part, there's only probably a little while to go for the commentary. The actual antidote really to overcome such attitudes is the understanding of the non-inherent or empty nature of phenomena. That's the ultimate antidote. But of course, as we go along, we must utilize other antidotes. What we mean by antidote now is like a medicine. For instance, if you're basing your existence on greed and self-centeredness, then you need to practice the antidote of generosity to give up this greed, and so on and so forth for the others. So all is not inherently existent. Everything is like illusions. What does that part say? Oh, yeah, my everything song. Give you example again from my everything song. Everything is like a flicker of a lamp, lightning in a summer cloud, a bubble in a stream, a phantom and a dream, and so on and so forth. You can use all of these examples. The Buddha gave many examples like this, especially in the Prajnaparamita sutras. So the perfection of wisdom scriptures, longer ones, as well as shorter ones, such as the Diamond Sutra. Okay, so you can have a look at those. I think you can Google it, some of these statements these days that come from the sutras. Quite easy to get, or you may have the books. I myself, yes, I do a little bit of study on the internet, especially when I need to just clarify for myself some things, maybe some questions that have come from others, and to make sure that I've got it absolutely correct. Then I may check like that and check a few different sources. But I do like books. I'm old school that way. I like to have something like a hard copy of something in front of me. And then, even if I'm studying formally or studying just what I call freestyle studying, I may have other books, encyclopedia, dictionaries in front of me, and the actual sutras and commentaries and things like that. So the desk is very full when I do it like that. And I really like those books. And rather than, I can't really do how you can make the page smaller and move it around on the computer. I actually don't know how to do that. So, and I'm not going to learn, not going to bother. So we can utilize this computer just for what we need it for, these classes and my writings, things like that. So the other bits I'd like to mention, so having understood their relative nature, we should free ourselves from this self-grasping. So thinking about all phenomena, outside phenomena, including other beings, as well as inanimate objects, as small as the tiniest dust mote, as large as the largest planet throughout this so-called universe. Contemplating all of the thoughts, opinions, beliefs, everything like this, mental phenomena as well, realizing nothing stays the same, and therefore it is empty of self. That doesn't mean it does not exist. It exists relatively, comes and goes, always becoming something else. So once you know this, then give up the self-grasping attitude. Because what is there to grasp at anyway? What is that? Me. I'm grasping at me. Yeah, I'm grasping at I or mine. But actually, it's not real. This is actually basing our existence on not reality, okay, to put it that way. What else did I write down for this? So practice every day with this Bodhisattva ideal, okay? Really put your mind towards enlightenment, really catch yourself when you do fall off the path and correct it straight away. Don't let yourself go with it, because it'll reinforce itself. And we really don't want that. I can't see anything more boring than reinforcing our mental afflictions. But more boring, but also harmful for us. We want to not be harming ourselves in that way by reinforcing them. I think that'll do for that. There's a couple little things I could mention as well. but I'll keep that for the actual commentary of the verse, the detailed commentary. Okay, so then now generating the body mind, the bodhicitta intention. So for those who are interested, you should do this and encourage others to do likewise. Okay. So it's helpful to recite the following verse for generating the mind for enlightenment. And if you want to do this every day, then you can listen to the video and write it down off that. Or you can even, once again, you can even look it up on the computer. It's easy to access. Okay, generating the awakened mind of bodhicitta. All right, something like that. So practicing Buddhists should recite these verses, reflect on the meaning of these 8 verses now, and enhance our altruism and compassion. Constantly. Don't give up. Don't get lazy. It'll give you energy. Sometimes we may think, oh, I don't want to do it today. But actually, this will give you the energy that you need in your life. But if you do the opposite, you keep giving in and reinforcing the mental afflictions, you're going to get tired. Okay. Even if it looks like you're experiencing some exciting things in life. Actually, it's not like that. Before we do go into that, I just wanted to mention the 8 worldly winds. So pleasure and pain, fame and shame, gain and loss, fame and shame, I mentioned that, praise and blame. Okay, so these 8 worldly winds, there's many different ways you can express them. We've spoken about them in detail before. They're also known as the 4 pairs and sometimes the 4 worldly concerns. That's probably the best one, more literal, okay? Winds, because they blow us off the course. And so when we are practicing these, including the first 7 verses and now this 8th verse for ultimate bodhicitta, we should do our best to have them not be affected by these 8 worldly winds. Okay, so without these practices being defiled by the stains of the 8 worldly concerns, by perceiving all phenomena as illusory, which I've already mentioned, I will practice without grasping. In other words, practice without expectation, practice without attachment, to realize or to release all beings. Even though there's another version of this that I made you aware of a couple of months ago now, I think, that actually says for yourself, release yourself. But I think this is more accurate to the initial text. So release all beings from the bondage of the disturbing, unsubdued mind and karma. So that it's like we're tied up with this, isn't it? That's why we call it the bondage of the unsubdued mind. So the untrained, or the untamed first, untrained mind. And to be free from this. This is what we want all living beings to achieve, this, and realize the wisdom of emptiness, and eventually realize the Buddha nature. Okay, so that'll do. So this is the verse. With the wish to free all beings. Now you say it. I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach supreme enlightenment. Enthused by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind for full awakening, for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, I too shall remain, to dispel the miseries of the world. And we repeat again. With a wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach supreme enlightenment. enthused by wisdom and compassion. Today, in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind for full awakening, for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, I too shall remain to dispel the miseries of the world. With a wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach supreme enlightenment. Enthused by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind for full awakening, for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, I too shall remain to dispel the miseries of the world. So we should practice as much as we can. That's really important. I mentioned that before as well. Generate this bodhicitta and supreme wisdom. Or at very least, be warm-hearted. Okay, even if you find the practice a little deep sometimes, then be warm-hearted. Okay, be friendly, etc. These attitudes brings happiness. Okay, this attitude brings happiness. Taking care of others actually benefits you first. Okay, giving up self-centeredness and increasing your compassion and loving kindness and so forth. I have no idea how long I have to go because I didn't look when it went down under a minute. But I will, as always, rejoice in your goodness. Take care of yourselves. Practice really well. I look forward to seeing you next week.